I remember the first time I heard Stevie Ray Vaughan pick up the electric guitar. It was about 6 months into my guitar playing journey, and up until that point, I was pretty happy just being an acoustic player. I enjoyed playing 4-chord songs and trying to learn some more difficult finger picking. And honestly, if that's your thing, I find nothing wrong with that. But at the time, there was really no motivation for me to learn something like blues or to ever pick up an electric guitar. So I didn't. But even though I loved the songwriting elements of like an Ed Sheeran, who's literally in ways the reason I picked up guitar, but that story's for another day. And the rhythmic elements of a Mayer on Room for Squares, I wanted a bigger challenge. So naturally, I looked back and forth on the internet and purchased my very first electric guitar with the money that I had made working at a summer camp for 3 months. Trust me, it was not expensive, but I was able to find an absolute steal used for $350. Now that was all good, but I needed some stuff to actually learn on the electric guitar. And I had listened to some John Mayer Trio before just because some of those songs were on Continuum and I felt like some of those songs were cool. I listened to a little bit of Clapton, aka I knew that Layla was a song title and nothing more. But then I got some really good advice from a friend. He said, if you want to be like a certain guitar player, you need to learn from their influences. And that blew me away. Like, what guitar player would dare be good enough to influence Mayer? Trust me, I know how cringe that sounds, but I understood nothing at 18. But after some searching through the internet and some Einstein-level research that would rival Einstein's theory of major key relativity, yes, that's a thing, and yes, I did make it up 5 seconds ago, I found it. And this riff was powerful. It had that kind of energy that would make someone want to pick up an electric guitar for the first time. And all I could think to myself was, I don't really get it. And you're probably saying to yourself, Michael, how could you disrespect the great Stevie Ray Vaughan? I'm gonna say to you, hold your horses. You gotta understand one thing. It's difficult, like really difficult, to just switch up your genre interests, especially as a guitar player. You see, growing up before I picked up the electric guitar, I'd never listened to rock or blues. In high school, I basically just listened to top 40 hip hop every day, all day. Didn't matter if there was a guitar in there. Then coming to college, when I picked up the acoustic guitar, I was listening to adult top 40 contemporary, hoping that there was a strumming part in there. Like I said, there's nothing wrong with those songs or those tastes if you have your personal preferences, but I had never been that much of a fan of blues before, and I had never taken the deep dive into that world. And I think I just learned as a musician, finding what your ear is drawn to, it's not a one-way street. I even think of my current favorite band, which is Polyphia, and they're just killing it right now. I mean, their new album was absolutely insane. Tim Henson's one of the best players on the planet. You think hand tattoos will make me a better player? And the first time I listened to them was when a guitar teacher of mine told me, if you want to learn to shred, you really have to check out this Tim Henson guy and this Polyphia band. So I listened to them, having come from this blues background that I'm in current day, and I didn't get it at first. I was like, where are the dominant 7th chords, bro? I'd never listened to prog rock before. I'd never even really learned to appreciate instrumental music that has just layers upon layers of melodies. And I think there's a definitive temptation to say what I'm trying to get to with all of this is that guys like SRV and bands like Polyphia are just an acquired taste. And that's not what I'm saying, because I think when you think of something that's an acquired taste, you're saying that you just need to shove it down your ears until you understand it like everyone else. No, I'm saying you might want to find a gateway. What does that mean? For me, that would have meant finding an SRV song that was a little bit closer to what I had been listening to before. And I think that song could have been Lenny. Now, I don't want to pigeonhole Stevie Ray Vaughan. He's one of the best guitar players to have ever graced the planet for a reason. And he did a variety of styles. I remember one time he covered Superstition. He's gotten into the funky stuff. But a majority of Couldn't Stand the Weather and Texas Flood and his other albums are straight blues. While Lenny has a more soulful aspect to it. You have these jazz chords. You have this very almost neo-soul-like dissonance running down scales with these just the most lush reverb I've ever heard. And the tones are a lot closer to some of the stuff that I would have heard having come from liking John Mayer stuff with the trio that had been on Continuum. He still has an absolutely insane solo, but I think it would have been closer and would have served as, like I said, that bridge and that gateway to getting deeper into the more traditional blues stuff that he's more known for. Even trying to recreate that tone, which I do on a semi-regular basis, gives me chills because that riff is so powerful. I think either that or maybe like a Tin Pan Alley with like its slower tempo and again more soulful mood would have been a much easier bridge to SRV into mainstream blues than going straight into like Pride and Joy or Mary Had a Little Lamb. Actually, Mary Had a Little Lamb might have worked. That song's sick. And don't worry, I eventually got into SRV, okay? Within a year, I was fully immersed into the blues world. My favorite guitar album of all time was Couldn't Stand the Weather. And every time I would go to jam with anyone ever, I'm sure the first riff that I pulled out was either Pride and Joy or Pride and Joy. Wait, those are the same song. I was the biggest SRV simp you could find. And if you had played any intro to any SRV song off the Couldn't Stand the Weather album, I could probably tell you what song it was and hum you the solo completely. And that was less than a year, like I said, after having just not gotten Pride and Joy in any way, shape, or form. And it didn't even have to stop there. SRV became a gateway to other artists, like for some reason T-Bone Walker. The moral of the story is to say, don't get scared if there's a band, especially in the guitar world, that you don't immediately get. You've got time. I've seen this more recently happen a lot with a great amount of neo-soul guitar players. Where they're just not used to jazz yet, but they want to learn neo-soul. And neo-soul becomes this bridge, get them to these ninth chords and these diminished scales and everything that comes with just being an Instagram guitar legend. But yeah, these bridges can be used in basically any style of music to get you more in depth and not just to help you understand your heroes, like in my sense, helping me to understand where John Mayer got a lot of his licks from, but helping you to find new heroes who you can learn from and then learn from their heroes and go back as far as the guitar was even invented, which I don't actually know when that was. Maybe it'll take you all the way back to Bach after only having listened to Marshmello. I don't know. Anyway, thank you so much for listening. And guys, I just want to say thank you so much for all the love that's been shown on all of the long form content. It takes much longer to make than like an every Strat player in 30 seconds video. So I like to start my day by listening to about 3 hours of Tom Misch, but it's just as fun and just as rewarding and allows me to like really work on my video editing styles and really see how far and where I can push this channel just in different areas of quality. Again, as always, if you liked any of the tones in this video, I've been using the Strat way more recently. I've always been a Strat guy, but this bad boy, got it from the homies at Sweetwater. All the links to all the gear that I was using, including my full pedal board, can be found in the description. If you want to support the channel or just want to know what I was using, make sure to check it out. If you enjoyed this, make sure to leave a like. Make sure to smash the subscribe button. Also, we're very quickly on our way to 100,000 subscribers. Crazy. And I have some big video ideas coming up, so watch out for that. Keep playing, and most important of all, have a fantastic day.